if you can't get outside of your own problems and your own life to love somebody, then you are so self-serving that you need this sermon more than anybody else. When I handle some problems in my own life, then I'll love other believers. No, sir. You handle other believers and you're going to find out that there's going to be some people come alongside of you to help out you. It's kind of a funny situation. I'm going to tell my own sister if she watches the internet, watches this sermon, whatever. My sister went through a pretty rough time where her hip, there was a tumor in her hip, whatever. Okay. Through that situation, this is my oldest, through this situation, she was kind of offended because there wasn't very many people in the church that came alongside of her, that came to visit her, that sent her cards, etc. Do you know what the problem with that is? From a pastor, from me, a pastor, and her brother's perspective, she never loves other people. And what goes around comes around, or comes around goes around, whatever the saying is. Listen, don't you expect people to reach out and love to you if you haven't loved them. And if you want everybody to come to your house when you got a problem, send you cards when you got a problem, and you are a selfish person if that's your perspective. You need to reach out and engage in loving other people diligently. I preach this to you as a preventative strategy of Hebrews 13:1, our text. The way to let brotherly love continue is to be proactive. Everybody say that word, proactive with me. Proactive, to do it with passion. Listen, do you know the way that we guarantee at Lighthouse Baptist Church that brotherly love constantly continues and continues and continues and continues? Be very fervent about it today. And then when tomorrow comes, be very fervent about it tomorrow. We are in a dangerous time in our church, very honestly. Many building projects cause division in churches over decision and finances and what color the carpet is or how high the steeple is going to be or whatever, details of construction that really don't mean a flip. They really don't. You know, the goal here is to get a place where the Word of God can be preached greater, where people can love people more, where people's lives can be touched with the Word of God. Isn't that the goal? Amen. So what's really the matter of what the color of brick and all that kind of stuff, honestly? But often during building projects, Satan works in an incredible way to irritate, put burrs under the saddles of people and church staff and churches. And many pastors during this period of time are warning me to be very careful to let brotherly love continue in our church and not to get wrapped up in detail. We must be very proactive if we're going to come through this thing whole and intact without division. We must do it with all our might. We must let brotherly love continue. And that begins with your heart. Now look here. That begins with your love. I'm going to just say names. Amy, and Doreen, and Doug, and other people's names in here, and Butch, and Jack, and all these people. Listen, that begins with you. Don't look for somebody else to love you. You love them fervently. There are 2 points to this sermon. 2 points to walk out of this building. One is in verse number 1 and one is verse number 2. But I'm not going to preach verse number 2 because the time is gone. And I'm going to just leave you this morning. Let brotherly love continue. Would you stand to your feet, please?